Vag dryers. What do they say on YouTube now? If you start with naughty words and things within the first couple of minutes, that you get deranked and all that stuff. So how do I rephrase it? Vag dryer. Nobody watches my videos anyway. What is going on in rock and metal? Why has it got even worse when it comes to being a complete sausage fest? Speaking of sausages, vanilla sausage is a big inside joke on my channel when it comes to what's happened in rock and metal. And not many people know the true meaning behind it. What happened to modern rock and metal? Everything snapped to a grid, everything on rails, fake drums, fake amps, fake guitars, fake guitar amps, VST this, and it's become one sizzling sausage of sameness, okay? And it comes from the old guitar forums, recording forums, where all the advice on metal was mids, vintage 30, SM57. SM57 is a microphone. This isn't it. Speaking of vag dryers, I've got a bunch of vintage microphones I'm about to go through.
Wow, your Tube Screamer clone is so cool. I love it when you move your little feet to click all those pedals.
Nothing dries up vagines faster than nerds going over gear like it's important, you know? And that's part of the vanilla sausage pie, is where we've concentrated on gear and technique and things that we can learn on the internet rather than writing songs about our actual experiences and putting some fucking life and some heart and some sweat and tears into it. We're all getting very technical and the nerds have taken over, okay? Creating all these vanilla sausages. But not many people actually know the term vanilla sausage comes from. You might see my unfortunate thumbnail of Guthrie Govan smiling away. Where does it come from? Somebody asked me on forums about 10 years ago, I can't even remember, what do I think of Guthrie Govan? And I said, if it was a food, it would be a long stream of vanilla paste. That turned into vanilla sausage, and that turned into the lack of musicality, the lack of actual soul that's in modern rock and music, where on one side, on the most brutal aspect of it, it's become white noise, and on the most technical side of it, it's become, it's the oldest thing in the book, masturbation. And that's come from the old Ingui, the old Shrapnel label, and it's just carried on to where we are today with progressive, which prog now is crabs in a barrel, keep on copying each other and dragging each other down from doing anything truly original, all right? So we have a crisis in metal where it's a complete sausage fest, even more than it was in the 2000s, all right? And we had a problem then. When was the last time where lots of women were into rock and metal? The peak was hair metal. Now, what's been sucked out of metal since hair metal? The fun, the sauciness, the sexiness, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll has been sucked right out of it, okay? Grunge started the ball rolling. I'd love to blame the black metal guys. I'd love to blame, grunge still had lots of women into it, ironically, because of the anti-rock star that was Kurt Cobain and, bands like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden, where they did have golden gods up front making vaginas melt, okay? But they were very sensitive. And this started a huge rise in being sensitive in music, okay? Now, sensitivity, I know what you're thinking. White guy about to bring misogyny onto the table and everything. But I think we've been too harsh on ourselves. And the Punk Rock MBA had a guest on recently who was lamenting about how guilty he feels about actually being in a band because of all the douchebags from, there was a golden era which has a dark side to it. The Malgoth, the scene core, it did have a lot of sexual predators in there, okay? And the worst were Lost Prophets. It got into the scene pretty badly because at that time, with MySpace and the rest of it, all these bands were starting to message young girls, okay? So there's a huge amount of guilt that's been put on the shoulders of these sensitive bands, okay? Because when a lot of these modern progressive bands, they spend a lot of time online and they read a lot of headlines about misogyny and this, that, and the other. But I'm here to try and take a few bricks out of that guilt bag, okay? Because when it comes to that type of thing in rock and metal, we are every bit as average and probably below average when it comes to this type of thing. Think of the misogyny in rap. Think of the misogyny in pop. Think of all the horror stories that's coming out from Disney kids. You know what I mean? Pop, rock, rap, up, down, country. There's so much in every genre, in every walk of life. So if anything, metal forever has been almost like the white knight to a problem, where it gets so milady that it gets kind of like cringe. So then there's vagina dryers on both sides of the aisle when it comes to rock and metal. So I want to let's go to the fucking birth of rock and roll, right? Chuck Berry. I have a theory about Chuck Berry. There's a cursed tape that went around, okay, with Chuck Berry. He was a terrible person. Now, he used to put video cameras in his house to catch his staff on the bathroom, his maids and everything in the toilets. He would record his sessions with all of his groupies. Absolute piece of shit, right? And there's one cursed video going around where I don't know how to say it, so I'm just going to say it. He farts in the mouth of a groupie. Now, I have a theory of where he came up with that kink. The cogs started turning in his mind about why he should fart in a woman's mouth. So, the guy on the Punk Rock MBA, my heart bled for this guy because he feels so guilty about something he didn't do. I felt bad for him because I know he's carrying these bricks not for himself, but for the guilt of others. How far back do we go? I mean, there's all this stuff coming out about Johnny Depp, untrue, and there's ongoing stuff now with Marilyn Manson. I actually saw Marilyn Manson before he got big, because I was in Florida and that's where he was knocking around. I've actually seen him before he got signed. I saw him live before he got signed. And the women were throwing themselves at him. Headlines at the time were Satanist, bad boy of rock and roll. It's not as if the groupies at the time were thinking, oh, this is going to be a really nice sound person that I'm about to hook up with. Everybody knew he was a piece of shit. No shit he was going to be a sexual deviant. No fucking shit. I mean, his videos had people hanging on hooks. What do you expect him to be, like, breathalyzing every groupie before he has sex with them? I don't know, man. So don't carry bricks for the scene if you didn't do shit. Am I going to put down I Love Gibsons because of The Who? Now, could you get anyone worse than Pete Townsend for him to be my idol? Could you be any more crestfallen than me when it comes to Pete Townsend, the shit that came out about him? I mean, god damn, we can't, man. We can't carry these bricks for the scene. It's worse in rap. The shit they do in rap to groupies is actually celebrated on a lot of videos, on a lot of biographies. So it's not misogyny that's taken women away from music. It's not misogyny. It's the lack of sexiness that's gotten women out of rock and metal. It's the nerdiness of the people creating it, because you need to know how to use the digital audio workstation. So nerds have completely taken over rock and metal. And with nerds come miladies, come the incels, come the... it's almost like you got gym culture now, where you don't even acknowledge that women exist in the gym because you're being respectful. It's not inclusive. If we are not making music that will connect with women, how is that inclusive? Do we want to be just a boys club? I don't. There was a lot of just kick-ass fucking rock and metal chicks because they would gravitate to... say Lemmy. Now we have Lemmys today in show business. Is somebody like Post Malone, where he's not good looking. But he's genuine and he opens his mouth and everybody just loves what he says. So he is the closest thing that to a rock star today. You know, it's Post Malone, and mostly, yes, it's rap, but he also plays guitar and he also is an ex-metalhead, okay? So what does Post Malone have? Massive choruses, okay? Hooks, proper hooks. I think the milady aspect of metal online right now has completely alienated women from the music aspect of it and the attitude aspect of it. And obviously, the black metal, Insane Clown Posse, that type of thing is not going to help either. A lot of women were into the dark imagery, the dark lyrics of Nine Inch Nails. It was sexy to them. Why be afraid of that aspect which women love? You know, it's like we can't become too. We've come so far now where now it's Puritan, where rock and metal's become Puritan because we're terrified of being that gym creep. You know what I mean? And that's turned off women from rock and metal. The PMRC. It's become that. We've done it to ourselves. We didn't need anybody to put a label on us. We put the label on ourselves.
Her most successful album to date has been her sexiest. It's also brought the most criticism.
You think of rock and roll, it's just from the heart. It's just go for it. And if you feel sexy and raw and raunchy, be you male or female, during any particular performance or song, then that's what you do.
But we're talking about a line that's been crossed when you have a top hit that's talking about, you know, come inside my sugar walls, spend the night inside my sugar walls. That's what people, particularly parents of younger kids, are trying to address.
Artists are just saying, hey, lighten up, get off our case. This is what art's all about, is being free. And if you don't like it, then turn into something else, you know, like go watch the news and watch violence.
Rap has become rock and metal because it's got sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It has a bit of danger. There's no danger in rock. There's no danger in this guy. There's no danger. There's no living vicariously through these people. So I don't know, man. Just this is a PSA on don't go too white knight when it comes to rock and metal. Bring a little bit of sexy back. This video really is just one excuse for me to put Guthrie Govan in the thumbnail with the word Vag Dryer next to it. That's all this video is really about. I'm not going to thank my patrons a ton on this one because, you know, it's a bit of a sketch subject, but you guys are great. You know who you are. If you like these types of vids, in the description, you can sign up and become a patron of Tone. All right, chaps, have a good one. There's more stuff coming out pretty quick. Circle of Tone. And after all that, as a dad of a young daughter, believe all women, even if they're in a different country than the accused. Cancel everyone. Do not look at women in the gym. Lower your eyes. Become an incel. And I want you to die in an internet cafe playing video games because you can't face the world.